I'm Mike Sargent, and this is Arise on Screen.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
The Oscar nominations are out, and we're still talking. Who will take home the gold? Controversial film critic Arman White gets the boot from the prestigious New York Film Critics Circle. Did he or didn't he? Arman White gives us the exclusive take on exactly what he said or didn't say to 12 Years a Slave director Steve McQueen.
The things that were attributed to me, I didn't say them. It's a lie.
It's magnificent.
There's a new Jack Ryan in theaters. Actor Chris Pine takes on the role. Can Pine do justice to Tom Clancy's iconic character? Hello, I'm Mike Sargent, and welcome to Arise on Screen, your global home for films both on screen and behind the scenes. Let's get to it. First, this week's box office winners. Lone Survivor tops the box office with a total take so far of $50 million. American Hustle in the number 2 spot with $105.8 million. Wolf of Wall Street, number 3 at a total take of $82 million. Frozen, $320 million, amazing. August Osage County bringing up number 5 with a total take so far of $10 million. So Oscar movies are probably going to get a bump over the long weekend, and Ride Along, which just opened, is paced to make $33 million. Chris Pine's version of Jack Ryan is paced to make 24. This year's Oscars didn't bring any big surprises, but let's take a look at the top nominees with the most nominations. American Hustle and Gravity captured the most nominations. Both received 10. 12 Years a Slave, 9. Nebraska, Captain Phillips, and Dallas Buyers Club all received 6. Her and Wolf of Wall Street round out the list with 5 nods apiece. Mexican-born, Kenyan-raised Yale drama graduate Lupita Nyong'o and 28-year-old Somali native first-time actor Barkhad Abdi both got nominated for their first feature film roles. Hopefully, this is the beginning of a trend of seeing actors from the diaspora get the opportunities and accolades of their European peers.
Break! You have to break!
Can's empty. We're gonna hit hard, grab a hold of
Director Alfonso Cuarón, whose film Gravity got 10 nominations, including Best Picture and Best Director, had this to say. Academy for this incredible recognition. These nominations are not just about single achievements, but rather the collective effort of hundreds of dedicated artists who made this dream a reality. In other news, Meryl Streep recently made headlines at the National Board of Review by saying Walt Disney was a bigot, racist, sexist, and a supporter of anti-Semitism. Now, Disney's grandniece, filmmaker, social activist Abigail Disney has come out on record via a post on Facebook that she agrees. She said, "I loved what Meryl Streep said. I know he was a man of the times and I can forgive him, but saving Mr. Banks is a brazen attempt by the company to make a saint out of the man. A devil he was not, nor an angel." Also in the news, this week, Robert Redford has announced he may be stepping down as chair of the Sundance Film Festival. The 30-year-old film festival he founded Redford made the list of actors snubbed when his latest film, All Is Lost, did not earn an Oscar nomination list. Last week, when asked how he felt about being snubbed at the Golden Globes and now the Oscars, Redford was quoted as saying, "I'm not disturbed by it. I'm fine." The veteran actor explained why he thought he was not nominated for Best Actor. He said, quote, "These films are reliant on campaigns. We suffered from little or no distribution. We had no campaign to help us cross over to the mainstream. It can get very political. Hollywood is a business and very good, and one I have nothing but respect for it." I'm pleased to welcome as my co-host this week, film critic Stephanie Green from shadesofgreen.com, and artist, filmmaker, international film critic from Italy, Chiara Spagnoli Gabardi.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and thank you ladies both for being here with me. I'm looking forward to it. And I just want to ask you quickly, Oscar snubs. Any actor that you think specifically was snubbed? Well, how about this? I'm going to ask you to agree or disagree with me.
Okay.
Forrest Whitaker, you think it was snubbed?
Yes, probably.
Definitely.
Snubbed. Oprah Winfrey?
Yes.
Definitely not.
Robert Redford?
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Joaquin Phoenix?
No.
No.
And I would also add Emma Thompson, if you agree or if she's been snubbed.
You think
or not.
she's been snubbed? Well, I have to say, the only person I think was snubbed was Oprah.
Okay.
Everybody else, I think they were well within their range.
Okay.
So that's just my take on it. I like those films and I like those performances, but I didn't feel that they were Oscar worthy. None of them. But that's just me.
Okay.
So we'll be back in a few minutes and we're going to talk about a few films.
All right.
Here on Arise on Screen. And now for a quick look at my pick for a must-see DVD.
The rock and roll people like Bruce and Elton John and Stevie wanted to know who that girl singer was. My life has been all about trying to make a success of the gift that I had.
If you miss it in theaters, the documentary 20 Feet from Stardom is a glimpse into the lives of backup singers going all the way back to the heyday of Motown. The movie was also just nominated for a Best Documentary Oscar. Stay with us. You're watching Arise on Screen.
The great thing about Arise Entertainment 360 is that we cover the 360 of entertainment, food, fashion, lifestyle, culture. We're able to cover it all. And the thing I love most about the show is we're able to do a stunning combination of high and low. So we can talk about Rihanna on the red carpet, but we can also speak about high art with people like Sanford Biggers and Hank Willis. We actually spend quality time with our guests and we really get to know them. It's really intriguing because we get a 360 look at our guests.
I think that people in America do care about what happens throughout the world.
Global warming is probably something that has to be addressed sooner rather than later.
From Somalia and the genocide there, and that's something people don't know about. They have no idea the brevity of that situation.
The first thing I think about when I think of Africa is like war and famine and disease.
And right now with the tsunami that happened or the earthquakes in, Japan, we always look out for other people.
Arise News, every culture, every angle.
Mr. Shraven hopes the room will be to your satisfaction.
Wow.
Ah, yes, and the view is second to none.
It's magnificent.
We're looking at a scene from Jack Ryan's Shadow Recruit about a Wall Street analyst turned government agent. The film stars Chris Pine in the title role. It's the 5th installment of the Jack Ryan series, and it departs from previous films in that it is not an adaptation of a particular Clancy novel, but instead an original story. Hi, I'm Mike Sargent, and this is Arise on Screen. With me in the studio are film critics Chiara, Spagnoli, Gabardi, and Stephanie Green.
Yes.
How are you, ladies?
I'm well.
All right, well, I want to tell you what I thought of this film. Now, I am a spy movie. That's like my genre, sci-fi, spy movies, that's my genre. I like this film. I like the premise. I like the idea. But two things. One, I don't know if you know that this film was based on another script, a spec script that was sold some years ago called Dubai. And then they decided to turn it into a Jack Ryan novel. Now, there is one more Clancy novel that's a prequel that both are going to star Kevin Costner because he's in this one. I like this. I thought the action was good. I thought Chris Pine was a decent, action hero. But I didn't think it needed to be a Jack Ryan film. I felt there was nothing about it that said who Jack Ryan was to me other than the fact that he's smarter than everybody else in the room, which, again, could have been done. I think this could have been anybody. It was a little generic for me. So what did you guys think of the film? And I want to know how you thought he stacks up against the other actors who have played him. Let's go with you, Stephanie.
I thought Chris Pine did a very good job. Okay. On the other hand, I really did. I enjoyed the film. What I had a problem with is the race scenes. When they were racing the cars through the streets, it was a little too much. I was like, enough of that. But the story itself, I thought was really great. He started out as a military man, Navy SEALs, I believe it was, got shot down, and working operative he did a wonderful job.
Okay. What did you think, Chiara?
Yes, I agree with both your visions. I think it's going to be a very successful entertainment movie, and I think it just proves once again how Kenneth Branagh is excellent at directing anything. He's an amazing Shakespearean, but we've seen him also with action films, and I think he managed to mold very well his actors into performing their roles.
All right, well, I have two questions for both of you. First, your ladies, what did you think of Keira Knightley?
Okay, I liked her for once, not in a period piece. And, well, I'm not American, but I think she pulled off a pretty good American accent.
Okay.
I think she was well directed here again, so I liked her in this movie.
You?
As I was watching the film, I kept thinking, who else could play this part? I really didn't see her so convincing in this role. It was nice to see her in a different role, but I didn't think that she did justice to that particular character.
Well, speaking of justice, I agree with you. Keira Knightley left me pretty cold.
Yeah.
I think she's a bit overrated. She looks good, but I didn't feel anything about her character. I felt she didn't really, she was fine, but just workable. What do you guys think of how Chris Pine stacks up against Harrison Ford and Alec Baldwin and, should we even say his name? Ben Affleck, who I thought was the weakest.
Yeah.
How do you think he stacks up?
Well, he definitely superseded Ben Affleck, ironically, in this film. I thought he really did. But when you're going to put him against Harrison Ford, up against, in the same type of roles, obviously he takes a step down. To me, he did.
What about you?
Yes, I totally agree, but I found that he was pretty good anyway. I mean, he was very entertaining. He was portraying this character who's a hero with wits. So therefore, he's not a silly warrior who just, does all the fighting. So in the end, he had a very high benchmark with his predecessors, but he pulled it off.
All right, well, we've got another film we're going to talk about, Big Bad Wolves. Now, Big Bad Wolves is basically a revenge thriller, and it's directed by two Israeli horror film mavens who are known for their horror movies and the kind of horror movies they were in. They really have reinvented the Israeli horror film, if you didn't even know there was one. I thought what they did here was interesting. I think horror film directors, when they do something suspenseful, not unlike what the director of the, Wes Craven did with that Flight movie. Do you remember that had? No, it doesn't matter. I think he did a good job. I thought it did take a while to get to it, but I thought in a lot of ways it built a lot of tension. And there was a nice reveal towards the end, which I don't want to give away. So I thought the film was an effective revenge thriller, but I'm curious what you thought about it. And do you think this kind of film with torture, is this more of a guy thing, or did you guys enjoy it as women as well?
Okay, Stephanie, you go first.
I'll take it. I don't think it's more of a guy thing. I think either one, a male or female, could enjoy it. It's not monotone in that manner. But I didn't like the film personally. I thought it was a very good ending, which I will not give away. The twist I wasn't expecting.
Okay.
But it's too much.
Too slow?
Yeah, too slow, totally too slow.
Didn't keep you in suspense?
It kept the suspense going because I had no clue of the ending, but I just didn't like the film.
And you, Chiara?
Actually, I was very interested by this, by the way these two filmmakers managed to weld the dark comedy side with these outrageous and terrible tortures. I don't know if it's a guy thing or a female thing to see these kind of movies. Probably it's not for sensitive hearts. I think also a very important thing about this movie is that it focused on child abduction, which we are now seeing much more.
That's a horror in itself.
It reminded me of Prisoners that has been recently done by Villeneuve. So I think it's good that, this topic is being spoken of.
Okay. Well, when we come back, we'll have an exclusive sit-down with film critic Arman White, who did not like the film 12 Years a Slave, and his alleged verbal attack of the movie's director, which has stirred up a world of controversy. You're watching Arise on Screen.
Oh, crap, Black, bro! You come here. Master Abbott. I said come here! I brought her back just like it.
One of the great things about Arise Entertainment 360 is we have this Arise to Your Health segment, which really focuses on the holistic approach of being healthy healthy. So we do everything from working out to juicing to getting in shape by doing fun exercises like bouncing on a trampoline or wearing these bouncy boots on our feet when we're jumping all over the set. We've done karate, we've danced the weight off, we've done just about everything. And of course, I love when we eat on set, but we do it in a very healthy and clean way.
I believe that people are watching news less today, definitely. I think that more so people are going online to catch their news.
We've numbed the human mind to murders and all these bad things. The content is a constant loop of the same stuff. So there needs to be, you know, new content all the time.
Arise News, every culture, every angle.
On January 13th, the New York Film Critics Circle voted to expel film critic Arman White after he was accused of allegedly heckling 12 Years a Slave director Steve McQueen at the Circle's annual awards dinner. McQueen has not spoken publicly about the accusations, and neither has Armand until today. Arman White talks exclusively with Arise on screen. Arman, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Happy to be here, Mike. Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to get right to it. The reports have been that when Steve McQueen came to the podium to accept his award, that you yelled out all kinds of things, that he's a doorman and he's a garbage man and F you and things like that. Did this happen? Did you say that?
No. The reports are all erroneous. The reports are lies. The reports, in fact, are libels. I said none of that. It's just that Variety started the entire myth, and Variety misreported it, and other publications, other news sites, websites simply repeated the Variety libel.
Well, here's my question then. You didn't say anything close to that. Exactly what happened that night?
What happened was it was a typical evening at the New York Film Critics Circle dinner, and it's a festive evening where people are having a festive time at each table, and I was having a good time at the table with my friends, my guests at the table, and we were talking among ourselves, certainly, laughing, having a good time, and people around me didn't like us having a good time there, and so the misreporting came from that.
Well, now, did this have anything to do? Was there any heckling involved?
There was no heckling. There was no heckling. You know, the Variety article that was printed is a very dangerous misrepresentation, misreporting. It's a very libelous account, and it's an account that never even the reporter who wrote it never contacted me to find out exactly what happened. He simply made it up and wrote it. I mean, very dangerous example of poor journalism today. The things that were attributed to me, I didn't say them. It's a lie.
Well, all right, let me ask you this now. The group voted on Monday, the 13th, to expel you.
Right.
You weren't at that meeting.
Right.
How is it that they were not in solidarity to you, or at least even ask you what happened?
Well, that's a question that's probably better put to them, but that's simply what happened. The chairman of the group and no other member of the group ever approached me to find out what happened. They simply simply took an effort to expel me from the group. Obviously, I think anybody who's read accounts of what happened and what's transpired since the dinner, obviously they realize that there's got to be some kind of animosity towards me from members of the group, because the expulsion is far outweighs whatever I'm alleged to have done. Usually when somebody misbehaves, they get a warning, they get some kind of suspension, but outright expulsion suggests that there's something more, perhaps some deep-seated resentment or envy that the circle members are expressing.
Well, how long have you been a member of the group?
I was first inducted into the New York Film Critics Circle in 1987. So I've been a member since then, and I served as chairman of the circle on 3 different occasions. I was also chairman of the circle during its 75th anniversary, when I arranged and sponsored several events throughout the city to celebrate the circle's 75th anniversary.
Wow. And it's the other thing that I find really disturbing is that a number of these publications and periodicals and outlets ran with this story.
Mm-hmm.
How many of them actually reached out to you or have done a follow-up or anything?
Well, initially, no reporter from any publication ever reached out to me until there was one reporter from the Wall Street Journal who did, and she wrote a very fair story because her fair story talked about how the Variety account had no factual basis. And then the New York Times contacted me later, and the New York Times first story also was fair because it also mentioned how the Variety account was not true.
Now, have you reached out to Steve McQueen? Do you have any intention to?
No, Steve McQueen has nothing to do with this. I'm sure Steve McQueen doesn't even care.
Now, you're not a fan of 12 Years a Slave. You didn't like that movie. Now, why?
I thought 12 Years a Slave was, in my review for City Arts, where I am the film critic, I called it torture porn. I think 12 Years a Slave virtually has nothing to do with the political history of slavery. I think it's simply an example of sensationalized filmmaking that uses violence, sexuality to disturb audiences rather than to enlighten them about American history.
I have one last question. What would be your 3 best films of the year?
I've got 3 favorites this year. One is a film called The We and the I, which is about high school kids in the Bronx and how they spend their time on the bus away from school. My other favorite was Pain and Gain, the Michael Bay film about greed in America, which I thought was very timely, much better film than The Wolf of Wall Street.
Okay.
And my third favorite is Man of Steel, the Superman movie, which I think is a great work of art because I think it's the first superhero movie that has emotional feeling to it. I think it's full of emotional power, and those are my 3 top picks for 2013.
Thank you, Arman. Gooding Jr. comes back to the big screen as a chess teacher. We'll review this new film, Life of a King, and hear what he had to say when he stopped by our sister show, Arise Entertainment 360. Stay with us. You're watching Arise on Screen.
One of the great things about Arise News, it is truly a...
Right, so...
One of the great things about Arise News, it is truly a multicultural global channel that is paying attention to communities of all different kinds, not just here in the United States, not just in Africa, but all around the world, as we're giving a voice to the people that don't traditionally have the kind of a voice that a mass media organization can have. You're getting here at Arise News that you're not going to find at the other networks is a unique perspective, and I think that's part of what Arise is here to do.
What is this? James, you did not tell me I was getting a jacket in the car. Oh.
Whoa, whoa. What's with the tightness?
It's a dry fit compression shirt. Keeps my body dry. It wicks the moisture.
Put that jacket on, don't take it off.
Okay. I'm not gonna sweat in it either, because it's gonna keep my body dry. It wicks it.
Let's go.
Wait, let me put my gloves on.
Let's go.
I knew I was gonna need gloves. I had a feeling.
Don't need those. Let's go.
Okay, well, wait, I got a jacket. James!
That was a scene from the movie Ride Along, starring Ice Cube, Kevin Hart, and John Leguizamo. In Ride Along, Hart plays Ben, a security guard who's desperate to prove he's worthy of marrying Angela, the sister of a decorated Atlanta police detective, James, played by Ice Cube. Welcome back to Arise on Screen. I'm Mike Sargent. Again, joining me in the studio are film critics Chiara, Spagnoli, Gabardi, and Stephanie Green. Yeah. I liked Ride Along. I thought that it was fun. I think it's interesting that Tim Story's worked with Ice Cube before, and now this is his second film, and he's got 2 films with Kevin Hart coming out this year. Kevin Hart's really on a roll. He's got 6 films in the pipeline. 2 are out right now, 2 more coming out this year, and then 2 more after that. I enjoyed the premise. I enjoyed seeing the transition for Ice Cube, who started out in films playing essentially a criminal, a young criminal. Now he's playing cops. And I think I think Ice Cube is an underrated performer. He's done everything, write, direct. He's done comedy, he's done drama, he's done action, he's done science fiction. I can't think of another actor singer or rapper who's done anything close to what he's done. Kevin Hart, I think, is very funny, and he's got great chemistry. He just seems like he could work with anybody, and he always feels like that's just him.
Exactly.
So I enjoyed it. Not the best he's ever done, but I really enjoyed it. What about you, Chiara?
Yes, I also enjoyed it. I found there was a good chemistry amongst the two protagonists. It was a sort of comedic Laurel and Hardy kind of thing, with the dumb, naive character and the other one scold him and telling him off and being grumpy. I thought, you know, it's a very light-hearted action film. It was also very interesting, this kind of double coming-of-age story, where not only the childlike character learns from the mentor, but also the elderly figure has to evolve somehow.
It was also kind of a buddy cop.
It was a buddy, yes.
In a little bit.
Yeah.
What about you,
Buddy.
Stephanie? What do you think?
I love the film. I found Kevin Hart's character was more in line with his comedy. Like, all of his comedy is very much the way he plays his characters in the films. So, and it wasn't boring. It was very enlightening, very exciting. Ice Cube is amazing as always. So, it all worked for me. I mean, it was a great story, and it kept you entertained. So, yeah.
Well, next we have Life of a King, starring Cuba Gooding Jr. This movie is based on the true story of Eugene Brown, founder of the Big Chair Chess Club, and his one-man mission to give inner-city kids of Washington, D.C. something he never had, a future. Eugene developed the club to get kids off the streets and working towards lives they never believed that they could have. Let's take a look.
The pawns. They are the front line. They will be casualties.
Scrap's boring, man. Kids game. What you reading?
Let me put it to you this way you'll understand. Think about it like this. Who's your supplier?
Hey, you tripping?
Hey, I know you ain't growing that weed you're selling, and so does everybody else in here you're trying to sell it to. So who's your guy? Huh? Get your ace in the hole.
I really enjoyed this movie. Actually, I was very moved. I thought that it had, at its core, I really enjoyed what the film had to say. I really think it's good that we can show these type of characters, that there are black men in America who are doing things. You know, as a black man, I'm very sensitive to the portrayal of black men, and I think more movies like this need to be made of everyday heroes. Not people who are necessarily, you know, freeing a country, but freeing the minds of young people. Young people need to be challenged, and I think that's part of what it is. I've spoken about this before, but young people, especially teenagers, are on that edge where they could feel they have no choices and start making a lot of excuses, or they could do something more. I also thought that the father-son story at its core was also important. Cuba Gooding stopped by our sister show, actually, this week, Arise 360, to talk about the new movie. Let's take a scene from that, and then I want to hear what you two ladies thought of the film.
Now, this story is actually based on the story of a real-life person, isn't it? His name is Eugene Brown. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Based out of Washington, D.C.
Okay, what drew you to this project?
I think if there was a theme to all my films, from Boys in the Hood to Men of Honor to, you know, Red Tails and even, you know, Lee Daniels, The Butler, I think it's that the thing that attracts me is that family nucleus, you know, specifically the relationship between a father and his son. And when I heard about this real-life story of this man who had been incarcerated for better than 17 years, and when he was finally released, he was estranged from his kids, and yet he wanted to still reach the children in the inner cities, and the young men who were, you know, dying every day, shooting each other. So he wound up connecting with this class of high schoolers and turning them into chess champions, and showed them that they could be intellectuals. And, you know, I've traveled the world. I've been to Europe, and people say, how did President Obama happen? How did you have a black president? And if you knew our history, you would know that it's just a natural progression of things. And we come from this glorious past, and our contribution to American history as African Americans is powerful and great and wonderful, with a lot of intellectuals and people that have overcome adversity, and this was just another story to tell.
You know, I have to say one thing before I ask your opinion. It just really strikes me that it's been 23 years now since Boys in the Hood.
Yes.
Ice Cube's still working. Cuba Gooding's still working.
Yeah.
And that feels very good.
That's-
So what do you think of the film? Stephanie, I'll go to you first.
I loved the film. I loved it because it was very inspiring, and it was actually a tear. It would actually pull tears from one's eye. It was a family film. It was a healing film. The idea that there was an actual man who was in prison and came out, Eugene Brown, to inspire young kids, that story alone was impressive to me. And I was blown away when I spoke with the director, and he explained to me this film was in the making for, I believe it was 8 years. And at first, the few producers that he went to were saying that, yeah, we like it, we like the story, but change the character to a white man. And I was blown away. And I understand that the purpose for that is because they're looking to make the big dollar, and foreign films look at it in that manner.
Chiara, what did you think?
No, I totally agree with Stephanie, and I also wanted to add that I was thrilled to see another movie that focuses on the education system, because it's a very important step. It may seem as a cliche, but the students of today are the future of tomorrow, and to find someone who can inspire these young students through game, through play, and through something so also strategic as chess, I thought was completely fascinating.
I agree. I love the metaphors, and having come from a family of educators, I'm always about that. Well, it's been a lot of fun. I do want to ask, what would be your picks for Best Picture? You, Stephanie, this year? What was your favorite film of the year?
Favorite film, that's a hard one, because there are two that I really love that I thought were the best, which would be 12 Years a Slave and August Osage County was amazing to me.
You, Chiara, what's your top film?
I also loved August Osage County, and for Best Foreign Film, I must say The Great Beauty, which is Italian and won a Golden Globe. So.
Okay. Well, I'd probably say 12 Years a Slave and Gravity. Well, it's been a lot of fun, ladies. I look forward to having you back again. I'd like to thank you, Stephanie Green from
shadesofgreenentertainment.com.
Okay. Chiara Spagnoli Gabardi.
That's right.
I like the way you said it better than me. This is Mike Sargent, and we'll be back next week to talk movies here on Arise on Screen.